Hello my dears, and today we are going to work on these cute little crochet Christmas ornaments. They are stuffed, believe it or not, with pool noodles, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that later and why I did that. But if you can't stand to watch the whole video, it's because I can't stand to have stuffing pop out the holes on crocheted ornaments, and this is my solution. So they're the same on the both sides, and they have this cool little edging, and you can make your hanger while you're stitching. Now I made mine out of, I can never say this company's right. I know Sheepjes is wrong, but that's what I say in my head. This is a mini ball of their Cahlisto, which is cotton. I was going for a kind of farmhouse look here, which is why I went cotton instead of wool. And a couple of years ago, I don't know why, on a wild hair, I bought a box with 108 colors of this yarn in there. So I'm kind of working my way through the yarn. So let's get started. Let's start with a magic ring. I like to wrap my yarn around 2 fingers. Notice there's some space going on in here. And then I wrap again, and that gives me an X. I'm going to insert my hook, which by the way, I'm using a size F or 3.75 millimeter. And you saw I just grabbed that one loop and pulled it through, and now I'm ready to stitch. And I'm going to stitch over the 2 strands of yarn. So I'm going to make a chain 1 to start, just to keep everything nice and tight and get it where it belongs. And now I'm going to put 6 single crochets in the loop. Now you may notice I tension my yarn a little weird. That's the way it goes. I tried to make this video tensioning it like normal people do, and I had a nightmare doing it. So here we are, tensioning yarn the way I do. Just because I do it this way doesn't mean that you have to or even should. 5, and 6. So here's my 6. Now I'm going to grab my cut end, my tail, and I'm going to give it an enormous tug. And here we are, all set up to crochet in the round. Now I am going to switch colors here, which I had not done on the samples I showed you earlier, but I have a theory and we're gonna find out if I'm right. So I'm going to join the round with a slip stitch in the first single crochet. And I'm making the fabric here kind of tight. And again, the reason is, Lord, I hate seeing stuffing come out. And if you want to do this your way and not with my pool noodle trick, you really want a firm fabric so that stuffing does not poop out all over the place. So I've done my slip stitch in my original color, and I'm going to change to my new color right here, and I'm going to chain 3. So that's 1. Get these little ends out of the way. 2, 3. Now that chain 3 is going to count as a double crochet, so I'm going to put 2 more double crochets in the same stitch where I did my round join. Yarn over and put 2 more double crochets in there. Now I am crocheting over my yarn tails. Why? Because I do not have to go bananas weaving in ends. I want my ends to be woven in so the piece is neat. But honestly, they're on the inside of a Christmas ornament, and who's going to see? So I have tended, when I'm making a bunch of these, to just kind of crochet over the tails and cut them and not do a lot of fancy weaving in, because if I want to make a bunch, which I do, I don't want to spend my time weaving ends. I want to spend my time crocheting. Now, this yarn is a teensy bit splitty. But it just is, and that's the way it goes. I still think the cotton look is kind of cool, but you can use whatever yarn you want. So for the rest of this round, I am going to put 3 double crochets in each single crochet. And at the end of this round, I'm going to join it with a slip stitch in the top of the beginning chain 3. And there will be 18 double crochets in the round. And I'm just going to trim these other, I'm going to trim the tail, and I'm going to trim off my A color in a little bit just so they're not hanging out. So I lied to you. While I did trim off my tails, I decided I want to try the A color in round 3 and see how that looks. So I'm at the end of round 2. I'm going to join with a slip stitch in the top of that beginning chain 3. And I do want to say this about the yarn being splitty. I think I'm having more of a problem with it today on camera because of the awkward angle at which I crochet when I'm doing stuff on camera. If I was sitting in my chair making ornaments, I'm having less trouble with splitting, but goodness, I hold my arms at an awkward angle when I'm making these. So I joined with the same colors around in the slip stitch, and I'm going to chain 1. So our next repeat, we're going to make 4 stitches, but we're going to work in 3, and here's how that works. So there was my chain 1. I'm going to single crochet in the same place as the round join. I'm going to single crochet between the stitch in which I made my round join and the next one. Then I'm going to single crochet in the next stitch. So far I have made 3 stitches. I have only worked into 2. Now I'm going to do a long treble. So I'm yarning over twice, and I'm going to make a treble crochet over this stitch, which is the next empty stitch. But I'm going to insert my hook way down there in the single crochet of round 1. So there's 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to work over the next 3 stitches, but we're going to make 4. So single in the next stitch, single between the stitch you just worked in and the next one, single in the next stitch, and long treble. 2 yarn overs for the treble. Go all the way down to the next single in the first row and finish your treble. So we're going to do that all the way around and then move on to the next round. All right, I'm at the end of round 3. I'm going to join my round in the first single crochet, and then I'm going to switch to my 3rd color. So in this case, I am absolutely going to cut these guys off, and I'll crochet over the tails. Again, I'm not making a huge deal out of weaving in ends because I would rather spend my time crocheting. So I've joined my round. Now I'm going to chain 1 with my new color. And this is another 4 stitch repeat. So we're going to single crochet in the same one that we just made that round join in. We're going to put 2 in the next one. And I am grabbing my tails here to crochet over them. You do not have to if you do not want to. So 2 in the next one. And then 1 in each of the next 2. So that was that was 1 increased stitch. So in each 4 stitch section, we're going to go 1 in the first one, 2 in the second. We're doing all single crochets on this round. 1 in the third. Oh my goodness, I cannot see today. One in the fourth, and you're going to do that all the way around. You're going to wind up with 30 stitches. Then you're going to fasten off, leaving a long tail to weave in later, and set this one aside and make another piece the exact same way. And then we're going to join them, which is the fun part. Okay, here we are with our 2 pieces, and now I'm going to put them with the wrong sides together. Oh, before I go, let me just mention, when I did my last join round, on my last round I joined in the back loop only, and you're going to find out why in a minute. And I've not fastened off this C color on my second piece. So let's chain 1 to get started. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip stitch these guys together, and I'm going to start without putting the stuffing inside because it's just easier to hold. So I'm going through the back loop of the one that's towards me, and I'm going through the front loop of the one that's away from me. And I'm just going to slip stitch because I want that nice ridged edging. So once again, through the back loop of the side that's towards me, front loop from the one that's away, back loop, front loop, slip stitch. You see I'm getting this nice ridge that's going to be around the outside of the ornament. So let me do a little bit more of this, and then we'll put in our pool noodle. So we're about halfway around the ornament, and I'm going to take my piece of pool noodle and I'm going to stick it in there before I finish. Now I am cutting these. A lot's going to depend on your gauge with your yarn and your hook and what you're getting. I cut mine sort of like a fat 1/2 inch, and I tried to get all delicate with scissors and stuff, but honestly it does not matter. So I wound up going to the dollar store and buying a crappy chef knife, and I just slice them with that, and I'll slice, you know, 10 or 20 at a time. So I also at one point got all bougie and tried to like carve the outside edges, and it also doesn't matter. These really are very, very forgiving. So I'm going to take my pool noodle, I'm going to pop it inside. I want my edging here to line up. And now I'm going to finish crocheting it together. So once again, back loop of the front, front loop of the back, slip stitch. Back loop of the front, front loop of the back, slip stitch. I'm going to do that all the way around. Okay, here we are all stitched up. We have our nice little ridge. And again, I know some of you think this pool noodle thing is wacky, but let me tell you, it's never going to lose its shape. There's no stuffing popping out. I just think it's a very clever thing. Now, I used a blue one, and if I stare, I can see blue coming out of there a little bit. But I have discovered at my local Dollar Tree that they have pool noodles in all kinds of colors. So I use different colors for, like the blue doesn't bother me here. I have red ones that I put behind the Christmassy ones. We just scored this week, and my sister found a white one. You can paint pool noodles, but again, this is supposed to be a quick, fun project. It's not supposed to be museum quality art. So the next thing I'm going to do is chain 20. And when I'm done with my chaining 20, I'm going to end off my chain and tack it right there at the beginning of the chain with a tapestry needle, and then weave in that last end. And then that is all there is to that. So here are the ones I made earlier, and here's the one I made on this video. Now the reason I sort of changed horses midstream when I was talking about colors on this video is I thought it'd be interesting if rounds 1 and 3 were the same color, if it would make those long trebles pop. Kind of think it does. On these other two, I made rounds 1 and 2 the same color. So you can see this one I used 2 colors, this one I used 3, this one I used 3 with 1 and 3 being the same. You can use up little bitty scraps. You can do anything you want with these. And again, they don't have to be cotton. I just was kind of going for a rustic farmhouse look. So I thought the cotton lent itself to that. So please like the video, subscribe to the channel, blah, blah, blah. But also click the links below. You can get the pattern all written out on the blog. I'm always happy when you come see me on the blog. And get going on your Christmas ornament making, and you will have 1 million of these done by Christmas. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye-bye.